Hello, this is Winker Reviews, and today I'll be doing a video on Into the Dark, Season 2, Episode 9, called Good Boy, about a woman who has a hard time finding a love interest. After several failed dating attempts and not being able to afford to freeze her eggs, it leads her to adopting a dog as a companion. I've never heard of this show before until I saw the trailer for this particular episode. When I saw the trailer, I thought it was a movie on its own, but instead it's a part of a TV show called Into the Dark, which features different horror episodes. And each episode is basically like its own movie. When watching the trailer, I was very skeptical because I thought it would be too heavy handed with the comedy since it does star Judy Greer, and she doesn't strike me as a serious actress. But I am happy to say that there weren't too many laugh out loud moments, although it is a very light-hearted horror movie. Although I do have to say I was a little disappointed because we never actually see the dog attacking people and only the aftermath. But there was one scene where you did get a glimpse of what more was going on, and it looked very cheesy. It was obvious at that point that they didn't have the budget to actually show anything. So for this movie, less is more, less is better. I did think the very first half of the movie was enticing. I really loved the lead actress. I loved the character. I loved seeing the struggles she was going through in her day to day life. And then seeing her adopt this dog, it was very entertaining to watch, and I was glued to the screen. After a while, or even before the movie kicks off, you can already tell where this movie is going to go, and it doesn't do anything fresh. You can tell what's going on and what's going to happen beat for beat. It was good at first, but it does start to get boring because you see everything coming. And after a while, each kill that happens in the movie starts to feel repetitive, and the ending was particularly very predictable. But even having said all that, I do have to say it is enjoyable for the most part. It's maybe the last maybe 35 minutes where things start to get tedious and you realize that this movie isn't really going to bring anything fresh. It's a very cheaply made movie that is, for the most part, a good way to kill time. It's entertaining, and everyone gives a good performance. I just wish it wasn't such a basic plot line. That was my biggest problem. It was very, very predictable, especially if you're familiar with horror movies, which I think most people are. This is the type of story I could have easily written when I was in high school. In fact, the ending specifically was almost the exact same as the story that I wrote when I was in middle school, and I actually got an award on it. So I thought that was really funny. Like, it just showed that even a middle schooler could think of something like this, while this is supposed to be for adults. But anyway, I do give it a 5.8 out of 10. I don't think this is a waste of time. It's a waste of potential because there are great actors, and even though it is cheap, they really could have made the writing a little more clever because it did have a very promising beginning. In fact, I thought the parts where there wasn't any blood or gore or any horror happening, I thought the parts that were just following the woman's day to day activities before she adopted the dog, I thought that was the most interesting part of the whole movie. And I'm starting to think maybe this could have been something else and not a horror movie, and it probably would have been even 10 times more interesting. Like, this had the ingredients to be a romantic comedy, like a cute little cheaply made romantic comedy, and it could have been just that. It really did not need to be a horror movie. Actually, like, the horror really brought the movie down because they didn't do much with it. Like, anytime something scary was supposed to happen, like, the build up would be like, ooh, like, even though it was predictable, it was still exciting to watch, and then it turned out to be a complete letdown because they kept cutting away from stuff because they couldn't afford to do what they really wanted to do with this movie because it's so cheaply made, it would get really exciting and then it would be just a disappointment. And it was very frustrating. Like, it kind of pissed me off at a certain point, and then I just accepted it for what it was because anything that they did finally show, it like the dog would look like a puppet. Would literally look like a giant puppet, and it would look so cartoonish. So yeah, that's why they had to keep cutting away for the most part, and it's a shame. So that's all I have to say about this. Thank you for watching.